What's up, fight fans? Mr. Mustache here. All right, Paddy Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson is officially official. The fight is happening, and there's been tons of backlash regarding this matchup, right? Everybody's mad that they're feeding Tony Ferguson to Paddy Pimblett, but I mean, honestly, if you would have asked most UFC fans about Paddy Pimblett 2 weeks ago, everybody would say overrated and shouldn't be in UFC, and he really isn't as good as everybody says he is. He had the controversial decision win over Jared Gordon back at UFC 282 in a fight that I personally thought he lost as well. He had his moments, but I just thought that he was just like no head movement, absolute punching bag. The only reason why he didn't get knocked out is because he somehow has a hell of a chin, right? But before that, dominated Jordan Leavitt, dominated Rodrigo Vargas, knocked out Luigi Ferrandarimi. He's looked. I don't truly understand the hate of Paddy Pimblett. He hasn't evolved like we would have liked over his last 4 fights within the UFC. His striking is definitely suspect. His chin is only going to last so long. But going against a guy like Tony Ferguson, 39 years old, riding like a 5 or 6 fight losing streak at the moment, like he's just not who he was. And I think that, obviously both guys have a recipe for success. Paddy Pimblett is very good on the ground, but doesn't utilize it as much as he should. I think that if he were to have been able to get the fight to the ground against Jared Gordon, it would have probably been a different bit of a story. But I think that if this fight goes to the ground, I think Paddy Pimblett is going to dominate Tony Ferguson. Yes, Tony is a black belt under Eddie Bravo, but it shows, especially in history, like his jiu-jitsu has been very suspect against the super high-level guys. Bobby Green choked him out. Beneil Dariush dominated him. Charles Oliveira dominated him. Even his fight against Kevin Lee at the end, I think it was the first round, like it was looking bad for him. He got mounted and he was taking heavy shots from bottom mount position via Kevin Lee. And if it wasn't for it being the end of the round, he could have been in some trouble there. So personally, I think that for me, this fight's a 50-50. I think the UFC, they want to give him a big name, but they don't want to give him a killer because he hasn't really earned a killer or even really truly a ranked opponent so far in this career. So if he was to go out there and dominate Tony Ferguson, that would give the UFC like a really good excuse to give him a better opponent and let him move up moving forward. But if he loses against Tony Ferguson, it really shows that Paddy isn't really truly who he is. And then possibly Tony Ferguson could either ride away in the sunset with a nice victory, which I don't think he will. The way that he talks, it seems like he wants to continue fighting no matter what happens. But if Tony gets the victory against him, it'll look good for him as well. Kind of be able to get him back into another good matchup again, another big name versus big name possible super fight. Like if he can get a victory over Paddy Pimblett, and let's say Conor McGregor gets a win, or even, like if Conor McGregor gets a win over Michael Chandler, we could see them feeding him Tony Ferguson. Because it seems like right now Tony Ferguson's in the stage where the UFC is kind of going to feed him either to the young guns or to the other hot superstars within the UFC. If he's going to continue fighting, they're going to use his name, especially with how much he makes. But I don't really truly understand the hate. I like the fight just because of where Paddy Pimblett is. He's in a position where he's getting a lot of hate within his career. People are saying he's not who he says he is. So if the UFC really thinks that this is a good layup, this is a perfect name for it to happen, I wouldn't say he's in a lose-lose situation unless he does lose. Like if Tony Ferguson goes out and dominates him, then it's going to prove that Paddy Pimblett, he's just not there, and he just hasn't really evolved into the mixed martial artist that we had hoped that he would become. But nonetheless, I like the fight. I think both aspects and both of where they are in their careers, I think this is a perfect fight for each fighter. I don't think it's a lose-lose for any guy, except pretty much the losers probably that's it for them. Because that's kind of both where they're at. Because even though Paddy Pimblett, he's riding that 4-fight win streak within the UFC, he hasn't been so pretty doing it, and he's getting a lot of hate for it. So, guys, let me know in the comment section if you guys think I'm out of my fucking mind. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. And please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly, Mr. Mustache MMA News out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.